Obviously not the result we wanted, you know, but give Indiana a ton of credit. They're a really good team with so many different weapons. So, you know, we came out really strong, and first quarter was great. And then, you know, I thought once we got into some foul trouble in the second, it just kind of put us, we just couldn't score. We couldn't score. So you can't score 10 points against a team like Indiana and think you're gonna beat them. So, but really, really proud of our fight. We came back, you know, we won the fourth quarter, 21-16, and we're gonna learn from this. We're gonna grow from this game, and we're still a young and, you know, inexperienced team, really. So these are moments, these are opportunities for us to learn and to grow from. So, you know, we have never, as this team has never been in a lot of these moments. So this is our first time going through a lot of these things together. And we'll definitely, I know this group, and we're gonna be better for it. We're gonna learn from it. We'll bounce right back. But I'm really, really proud of these guys because they never give up and they just continue to fight. So again, we'll learn, we'll evaluate, and now, you know, we got to be better and get better so we can go on the road and play Northwestern. So that's our focus right now.
Go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get you a mic for a question.
For either of the players, how hard is it to guard a player like Mackenzie Holmes inside? It seems like if you double team her, she's open in the you open up players in the post versus, and if you single team her, she'll go right around you. How hard of a matchup is she relative to other centers in the Big Ten?
She's a great player. You know, I love watching her play. I don't really like playing against her. But, you know, she's got a great skill set, and she's very experienced in her position. You know, she's experienced in these close game situations. So I just give credit where credit's due. I mean, she's a great player, and, you know, we did everything we could tonight. Obviously not, again, like Coach said, not the outcome we wanted, and we gave her, I think, a little too much. But, you know, I think we did our best. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and I think we really worked. I think the guards did a really good job of trying to help me and the other fives when they could dig off, but it is kind of hard to dig off when they're all shooters, so you just kind of got to make a choice.
What was it like playing in front of over 5,000 fans tonight?
It was really cool. You know, we had people coming in at there's 70 minutes still on the warm-up clock, and just kind of seeing kind of that community come together for us. Like, we haven't had that before. Like, even last year, we would have not a lot of people at games. So to see, you know, even the students getting involved, it's not just the community, it's not just families bringing their kids, it's the students at the school. It's really cool for me being, you know, having played here last year and not having that. It was really cool, and I'm really happy they came, and I hope they come back.
Kendall, is there words that can describe, you know, when Mackenzie's going off in that third quarter and you're on the bench? Is there a helpless feeling, or what's the feeling like at that point? It seemed like you were having success, at least making her work defensively for what she got.
It's frustrating, I think, is a good word for it. You know, it's just kind of hard. Unfortunately, I had those fouls kind of, you know, immediately in the second half, so we just all got to be ready to work against her. I mean, she's, like I said, a great player, but, you know, we have to have our other fives be ready, and I have to do a better job of, you know, fronting her or just making it more challenging, doing slides. So I think there's a lot of things we can work on from it, but definitely just kind of having to sit there and kind of watch that happen is frustrating.
For Genesis, how much did their length, particularly in the backcourt, bother you offensively? It seems like there were times when you didn't speed them up, points were a little bit hard to come by.
I really feel like, because we already have experience with playing people with length, because we're pretty much smaller guards, so I don't feel like that bothers us. I just feel like we try to attack more and just be aggressive like it was in the first and fourth quarter.
Someone who's been here around, you guys beat Iron, you've kind of been competitive against Ohio State and Indiana twice. How much have you improved kind of in that area against top teams, and what's kind of the next step you guys can take?
I think, you know, all these games are learning experiences, as a team, and, you know, a lot of the returners have not been in these situations before, close games against big teams. I mean, these used to be blowouts last year. So I really think it's just kind of learning to stay together when that team goes on a run. I mean, number 2 and number 6 team in the country, they're going to go on a scoring run, but we just have to be able to, you know, stick together, withstand their run and be able to punch back. And I think, you know, by the end of the season, we'll be more prepared for stuff like that. But, I mean, it's all learning. I mean, it sucks, but, you know, you got to learn from it. And we can make little changes in practice, we can make little changes in other games, and slowly and surely, like, we'll be more comfortable in those situations.
Genesis, what was kind of said going into the fourth quarter, and what kind of got you guys going as a team, and what was kind of the switch between what you had in the first and fourth quarter and the middle 2 quarters?
I feel like we just attacked more. Like, we knew that we only had 10 minutes left, and we would have had that a little earlier, probably would have been different. But just we stayed in attack mode. It was getting downhill, it was getting fouls. So I just feel like we was just attacking more in the first and fourth quarter.
Anything else for the players? All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Same deal for questions with Coach. Go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone.
Coach, how much does the build you're doing here mirror Indiana? For a long time, I asked Coach Warren this too. Both of you were at the bottom of the Big Ten. She's improved it over several years now. It looks like in the first year you're already getting there. How much do you look to her to try to build a similar program to what she's built at Indiana and get the 2 what were historically the bad teams now at the top of the conference?
No, you're right, and what Terry's done there is absolutely, it's amazing. And I remember, because, when I was at Dayton and she had first got there, and we recruited against them a lot. So I followed, and obviously followed the Big Ten, but just know, it took them a while. It took them a while to build this, and now they're consistently, a top 10 program. And I mean, a Final Four contender. I mean, they're legit. They got every piece that you need to get to a Final Four. So, shoot, if I can have half the success that she's had, I'll be happy. But a ton of respect for her and what she's done, and it's fun to compete against them. It was an intense game, and it was fun. So. Hopefully we can keep building, and we want to be consistent like they've been. They built it, and then they have won year after year, and that's what we're looking to build here as well.
Coach, a little over 27 minutes for Kendall Bostic. If you had that back, would you have her on the court a little bit more with 2 in the first and then 3 in the third? It seemed like a different game when she wasn't in the game.
No. It is what it is. She had foul trouble. Mackenzie Holmes is really hard to guard. She's really hard to guard. It wasn't, I thought they all did okay, on her, but, at the end of the day, I go with what I go with in that time. So once I watch film, maybe I'll have a different feel for it.
Shauna, do you get a sense that this is a teaching moment maybe for the depth of your bigs, in the sense that, I know she's an All-American, but that was your moment and Kendall can't play 40 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been saying that, we're not that deep, and especially at the 5 position. So, I've challenged everyone and I challenged them again in the locker room after the game. Just you got to continue to be prepared for when your name's called. So this is a definite learning experience, this game, no doubt about it. We all wanted to win this game, and I thought we were capable of winning it, but we faced a really good team, and they made more plays than us. So that's the game of basketball. So now it's about, how are we going to respond? How are we going to learn from this? How are we going to get better? Because like I said in my opening statement, that Indiana team has been through a lot together. They've been through the hard times, and they've been through these games together. Mackenzie Holmes, Grace Berger, I know Parrish is Garzon or new, but they have some veterans that have been through a lot, and we're just right now, this is our first time through all this together. So we're all learning, and there's no doubt about it. I know I'm going to use it as a teaching moment. I already told them that we're gonna break down film, we're gonna look at it, and then we're on to the next one. Because like I told them, you can't let Indiana beat us twice. So we got to move on, and you got to have a really short-term memory in this league, because we got a really hard Northwestern team that we got to go to their place, and that's our focus.
When you're trying to build something and you look up and you see a crowd like this and you hear a noise like that, for you personally, how fulfilling, satisfying, exhilarating is it to see that after 2 months?
No, it was amazing out there today, and to look up, I'll never forget, I think it was after that first game, and I said, when I talked to the crowd after the game, and I said I want to see, the vision is to see this, that whole lower bowl full, every single night. And today we had looked up and we had people up in the upper deck, and Orange Crush, absolutely amazing. They were here over an hour, ahead of the game, and so thank you to Orange Crush and what they do. And I hope, just because we lost this game, I hope everyone comes back. I hope that, all the fans come back. I don't want it to just be because we played the sixth team in the country, or we played Iowa. Like, we need this every single night. And that's, again, and I'm sure that the Indiana, you guys can attest to that, right? Like, now they're getting 10,000. Now they're getting, 6,000, 7,000 every single night. It wasn't like that to start. I'm sure it wasn't like that. I'm sure Terry's first few years, they weren't coming out to 10,000 people. So it takes time, but to see in 2 months, to see this crowd was absolutely, it was amazing. And this is what all Indiana and Illinois, this is what women's basketball, these players deserve. They deserve to play in front of this crowd. They deserve to play in front of that environment. So I'm just happy for our players that they get to compete in that, because that's what college basketball is about.
It seems like you guys kind of go out of your way to interact with fans, whether it's meeting with the Orange Crush before the game, or I know having the kids in the tunnel, and you talk on the microphone after the game. I'm curious of the thought process that goes into all that, and kind of how pre-planned all that kind of stuff is, or like, you talked to the Orange Crush for a long time, I heard.
No, I mean, that's, again, it has to be about family. It has to be about relationships, because, again, it's we're not gonna, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but men's basketball, they're gonna show up. 16,000 will show up, because it's just what you do. So women's basketball, I've always believed in, and we did it at Dayton as well, and we brought some things here. But you got to interact. You got to have, our fans have to feel connected to our team, and I want that connection. So I'll do whatever I need to do, whether that's an hour and 10 minutes before, we're playing the biggest game of the season. I'm going to go talk to Orange Crush, because we need Orange Crush and our kids to be there, those kids to be there every single game, in order for us to be a legit program, and us to build, like you said about Indiana, like to build into a consistent top 25 program. No top 25 team in the country is running out to 1,000 people and no kids. It's just not happening. So I will do whatever I need to do. We have our kids after games. They go up and talk to, they'll sign autographs. They go into the stands. They did it tonight. But that's just our philosophy, and it's our culture that we want here.
What you bring from Dayton specifically?
About always talking on the loudspeaker. We had our Orange Crush there, that we were very interactive together. And just the connection of really trying to get the crowd, the fans, to know us as people. So kind of the same thing. Whatever we need to do, we're out in the community doing it, or I'm doing it.
Shauna, just to follow up on that, I mean, you weren't here last year. It was like 5 times more people for this Indiana game versus a year ago. So I guess what, if anything, have you learned just about the hunger that this campus community has to see this program go over the last 2 months?
That's probably been the best thing about this whole journey we've been on, is to see the excitement, and that was, again, like, I mean, I guess Josh gets credit for convincing me to come here, because I mean, if I really would have looked at the numbers of the attendance and some of these things, and I don't know, but because I mean, even Terry said, I went out there and she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, this is unbelievable. She's like, this is not how it was. So for an opposing coach to like look around and say that, I think, so we've come a long ways, but it has to be consistent.
I wanted to ask you about the game of women's basketball in general with the attendance. You're talking about for you guys, but I mean, I remember as a kid, it didn't matter how much you won, the crowds weren't that big. Now women's basketball has become much more like men's basketball, as you're showing this year, and IU shown in different places around the country in the Big Ten. How big is it for women's basketball now that when you produce a winner, you know, you can draw 8, 7, 9, 10,000 fans versus, you know, as a kid, I remember being at games, you know, and it didn't matter how much you won, you couldn't get that many people in there. So can you just talk about the progress of the game as more people start watching?
Yeah, it really has. I mean, you look just in the Big Ten, you know, Michigan had over 10,000. Obviously, Iowa does a lot. You guys now are, you know, over 10,000 in a lot of games. So, I mean, I just think all across the country, I think women's basketball in the last few years has really taken, you know, has taken some huge strides. So hopefully we can continue it. But, I mean, I think it's a product, too. I mean, women's basketball is fun to watch, and there's a lot of really good players out there, and players just seem to be getting better and better and more athletic. So hopefully that trend continues.
Last question right here.
Just the last couple games, just from your bench, not getting much from those players. What have you sensed that maybe a difference, or is it just confidence? What is it that has not kind of allowed for that depth that you've had earlier in the season from those bench players?
You know, you don't know. You know, I mean, we're running the same stuff. We're doing all the same things. So they'll be there. They just got to get some clean looks, and sometimes you just need one shot to go in, and you get one shot to go in, and now, you know, they just start. Remember early in the season, that was when Jada, you know, first couple games she struggled, then she saw a couple go in, and she just went on a tear. So I'm not overly concerned. We'll keep working, keep getting in the gym with them, keep continuing to build them up and give them confidence that we need them and we believe in them, and that I keep telling them to shoot it. So we'll get it back. We'll get it back for sure. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Coach.